You're listening to Real Talk Texas with local expert Steve Hakes. Now, here's Steve.
Welcome back in the studio today. We were talking about new home construction and availability of how to go out and buy a new house in North Texas. Today in the studio, we've got Brian Rogers of D.R. Horton, America's #1 builder for the last 11 years. Right, Brian?
Yes, sir.
Pretty cool. And we've got Alicia Trevino, and she sells a lot of D.R. Horton homes. She and her team of agents in Mesquite as well as in Uptown. And before we went to break, we promised that we'd start drilling down into some things that I think the listeners may be asking. And that is, I'd like to hear about some of the communities that are available. I would also like to hear about what's happening with pricing, what kind of price ranges you have, Brian. So let's cover that. Let's go into what's on the ground right now. If I were getting in the car at Sunday afternoon and I wanted to drive to your area, where would you send me?
Okay, well, across Dallas, we go from about the 120s up to over 500,000. So, we've got quite a range. Myself, I am in Forney. It's about 20 miles east of Dallas, straight out Highway 80. A great, fast-growing community, excellent schools, a lot of exemplary schools. I have Travis Ranch, which is a master plan community. We have amenities for the family, a huge swimming pool, spray park, playgrounds, covered pavilions.
Is that what you mean by master plan community?
Somewhat. Master plan is it was laid out originally to have a lot of amenities, a lot of things just laid out by the developer in advance to be able to accommodate families.
So instead of having to have a pool in my backyard, I've got a community pool. I grew up in Ohio, and we didn't have pools in our backyard, but we had a community pool, and all the kids went. That's where we hung out all summer long, was Wee Bonnie Swim Club, and they had a little 9-hole golf course there, and it was really cool. So you have that available.
We have that. We have park areas, playground areas, green spaces. We've even got an inline hockey rink.
Oh, really?
Out there. And a lot of times master plan communities such as Travis Ranch will have a elementary school right there in the community.
And it's so convenient because the bus actually stops right there at the corner, picks up the kids. They never leave the community. It is such a nice family-oriented area. And what we see is the family move in, then the grandparents move in, then the babysitter moves in, and it really is awesome.
The kids have lots of friends out there because it attracts families. Price range in my community is about $160 to about $210.
Okay, so and what I always tell people when they hear that is, because immediately most people go to, okay, how much a month? And the old school math was always 1%. So if it's a $100,000 house, it's typically a $1,000 a month payment. If you're 200, it's a $2,000 payment. Actually, if you get your mind wrapped around that as a listener out there, you're going to be okay, because you're actually going to get more house for the dollar with today's interest rate. Like I said, it was old school math, because that was back when rates were up in the 6 and 7%.
And now they're almost half. It's unbelievable.
Right. The rates are so low, and so you can get more home. It's probably more about a 0.75 than it was maybe a 1% for the house payment.
Right.
So also in that area, isn't one of the things I did want to mention is that USDA, people that I talk to that aren't from the mortgage or real estate industry, they go, USDA loan? Wait a minute, isn't that United Dairy Farmers or something like that? But actually, it's rural development loans, and it's for areas that aren't heavily populated. And the USDA does have a budget for insuring loans up to 100% and maybe even a little more, which is kind of unique. And that, other than the VA loan, there's probably, there's no other loans out there that you can have zero down. And I think in your area, is that right, Brian, that you're able to offer the USDA?
We can offer the zero down. Until Tuesday, it was thought that USDA was going away forever in the Forney area. And as of Tuesday or Wednesday, one or the other, it was extended until September 30th.
You talk about having a happy dance in our office. Woo, happy dance.
We did too. And we expect that it will go away forever, September 30th. So this is definitely the time to act.
And if you're looking if you're a first-time buyer and you're looking for a house in the 160 range, let's say if you're paying $1,200 a month in rent, it makes sense to look at a $160,000 house, because you're going to be very close, especially after you get the interest deduction on your taxes.
Homestead
I can show
exemptions.
you, if you're listening and you want that math, just call me, and I can show you how that really makes a difference by owning a home and being able to deduct that interest. And that's why, I think the Realtors Association, Builders Association, as well as the mortgage industry has fought real hard to keep that deduction available for you as a consumer out there. When the government's trying to go through and do these cuts on, spending, they're also looking to raise taxes. And one of the ways to raise taxes is to take away deductions. And that's something that's been a hot topic, if you're listening to talk radio a lot, is all the different areas that are being hit. So I was really pleased as well that USDA got that extension through September 30th, and we don't know what's going to happen after that. So I really think if you're in that situation, you're listening, now's the time to act, because we have that money available right now. Brian, if I'm out in the car today and I'm looking to drive to a community, you just mentioned Travis Ranch. Tell me a little bit more about that, and then I want to talk about some of the other communities.
Travis Ranch, in addition to the amenities to the school out there, we also have one of the very few communities that is planned to have a marina down at Lake Ray Hubbard and actually have access to the lake in the future here as that's developed.
Are any of the lots on the lake? Do I have my own dock and things like that? Is that available?
At this point, there are lots planned on the lake, on the plat. I'd never say that can never change, but that is the plan that the developer has at this moment.
So in that community, how much is it already sold out? I mean, what percentage? So how much opportunity do I have if I drive out there today to look at homes? Are we running out of lots?
Well, there's a lot of land left belonging to Travis Ranch, but we get into that developed discussion we had earlier. There's not very much with streets cut in right now, which means being able to build on at this moment. It still has to be developed. They have to cut in streets, put in utilities, all those things, which adds quite a few months before we can even start someone's house or even give them an address and show them a home site.
Well, I bet the developer's sitting back, and like a lot of people are very conservative right now. They're really thinking, okay, is this for real? As a mortgage guy, I think, it sounds good. And I am getting a lot of pre-quals right now, people calling up and saying, hey, I need to know what I can afford, get me ready to go so that when I go out to buy a house, I feel secure that I can actually perform on a contract if I write one.
Right.
What do you think the developers are just kind of waiting to see how the rest of the community sells out, or what's your opinion?
I think the developers are pretty much gearing up. They're running out of, at least in the Rockwall, East Dallas area, we're running out of developed lots. And as the market's improving, I think the developers are gearing up. The developers have to loosen up and start seeing that progress, but the banks that are lending the money to the developers have to as well. And from every indication that I have, it looks like they're moving very, very strongly in that direction.
And I will say that Affiliated Bank, on our bank side, we do a lot of that lending for developers. We do help builders do spec housing. We do a lot of different types of loans. And if you're a regular listener to the show, you hear that Affiliated Bank really does a great job of trying to invest into the communities to help support what you're talking about, Brian. What other community is, if I was out there driving today, Sunday afternoon, would you say, hey, you need to stop by here?
One other community that I work very closely with is Brookville Estates. It's a little bit more affordable homes. I started in the 140s out there. And in Brookville Estates, right across the street from an exemplary elementary school, we have about 11 houses left, and that's all the home sites that I've got left in that community. I have homes coming up on each of those, anywhere from frame stage to being finished. And as a lot of people don't realize, for a new home, you can build it, put in your personality, your style, your selections. But you've also got that existing, inventory home there that you can move into now. You can get in there quickly and know that the interest rates are where they are right now, as well as getting a great deal on a inventory home. It's kind of like a car on a lot. You pick one off the lot, you can expect probably a little bit better incentive than one that you order and get all your bells and whistles.
And that's in Forney, Texas, right? Just outside,
yes, sir.
Just east of Dallas.
Just east of Dallas, Highway 80.
Now, you talked a little bit about warranty and what they can expect when they buy that house. A new car comes with a warranty.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your guys' warranty at D.R. Horton.
Our foundation and structure has a 10-year warranty. It goes from there, different things in the house, warranty different ways, but all the way down to a 1-year warranty. I wouldn't quite say bumper to bumper because there are certain homeowner maintenance items. But the main thing being that when you move into that house, you have a peace of mind of knowing that if something goes wrong with that home that you didn't cause, then we will take care of it. It is under warranty, and you don't have to worry about your appliances, your air conditioning system, your roof, your foundation. There is no savings account that you've got to have set aside to make sure that you don't run into issues.
And that's one of the big pluses about new homes when I'm working with a first-time home buyer or someone who's a little going to the max that they can qualify for. I do mention to them, for the next couple of years, you can rest assured that you're not going to be making those repairs. And also that D.R. Horton has been around for so many years and has such a great track record that you don't have to worry, that they won't be there to maintain it or to take care of an issue. It's rare I ever see something, to be real honest with you, in the 22 years we've been selling new homes and D.R. Horton homes. I have not heard, and this is a pretty big deal because we sell quite a bit of it, never heard an unhappy client with D.R.
Well, I mean, a warranty is a big part of the reputation of a builder, that service after the sale, because that homeowner buys another home eventually, and they have friends that need homes, and that's a huge thing to us, and we want to make sure we take good care of those home buyers.
You're listening to Real Talk Texas. I'm sorry, Alicia, we got to go to a break, but you're listening to Real Talk Texas here on KLIF, AM 570, News and Information. Today we've got Brian Rogers of D.R. Horton, America's #1 builder. We've got Alicia Trevino of Alicia Trevino Century 21. We'll come back after the break, and we're going to talk more about buyer's representation. We didn't touch on that. I'd also like to ask Brian a few things about the new efficiency of a home versus buying an existing house. So let's talk about that on the break. Again, 817-925-2546. 817-925-2546 is a number to send a text to, and we'll get you in touch with a real expert here at Real Talk Texas.